Well, hello and welcome to Over the West Nurseries on a fairly breezy but otherwise very pleasant afternoon here on our nurseries. Now this is the place, if you haven't seen it before, where we grow over 2,000 different varieties of outdoor garden plants. Ones that have been especially selected for their performance here in this region. That's the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states. Lots of really good plants, and if you'd like to be able to find out more about them, can I suggest that you click and subscribe to this channel, and then as we post new videos, which we're doing all the time, you'll be first in line to find out about the varieties we grow and perhaps even consider growing some of them in your own garden. Now here on the nursery we grow trees and shrubs and perennials, vines, flowering shrubs, evergreens, conifers, and also some beautiful ornamental grasses, including some outstanding native varieties too. And let me show you this unusual native grass that's called Chasmanthium latifolium, or commonly known as the North American Wild Oats, or sometimes known as the Northern Sea Oats, or sometimes known as the Indian Wood Oats or the River Oats. Lots and lots of common names for this plant, but as you see they all revolve around the word oats. And that's because now in the latter part of the summer and going into the autumn, it produces these little locket type flower heads that look a bit like oats the way they hang down. And this particular variety is really good because it's tough and hardy, it's very adaptable, it will grow in a wide variety of soil types, from even wet ones, as the name river oat suggests. It's often found alongside streams and creeks. It's also, as the wood oat suggests, found in woodland, and it's found in a wide variety of habitats from New Jersey and Pennsylvania all the way down to Florida and westwards into Illinois and Kansas too. So you can see that it grows over a very wide area, and that means that it's a tough, hardy, reliable plant. And when you get all of these gorgeous little lockets that move so beautifully in the breeze, I think you can see something of what this plant would do in your garden. Then take the fact that in another couple of weeks, this whole plant will start to turn beautiful golden yellow shades, and these lockets, which are green right now, will take on a purplish bronze shade too. And what's more, they'll persist well into the winter time. And even better than that, here's a plant that is really very good for the environment in terms of producing things that help our wildlife. Little mammals will eat the seed, birds will use it for nesting material, and also quite a few skippers throughout that area feed on it as a host plant in their larva stage. So it's a very important plant for all of that. Very hardy and tough and reliable. I like to use it, believe it or not, in dry shade areas. It's a very unusual plant, ornamental grass that is, because most ornamental grasses really need to grow in sunlight. This is really quite tolerant of shady conditions, and what's more, it will put up with dry shade. It won't grow quite as tall when it's in those drier, shady areas. It's often shorter, but at least it persists and it survives. Now, when you're growing it at its best, it needs to be really in rich, moisture retentive soils, and at that point you're going to get plants that will stand somewhere close to about 4 foot high. Grow it in drier and shadier conditions and it's likely to be shorter and bushier than that. It's just that it grows more vigorously when it gets better ground conditions. Now, in springtime, it will emerge with this bluish green foliage, and then, as I said, it will start to turn a very nice shade going into the autumn time. You could use this in all sorts of situations. I quite like to use it in containers. I love the way all of these little locket type flowers move and shimmer in the breeze. I love the way the movement of grasses bring patios and decks and things like that alive, and so it's nice to have them in a container. But you could use this in beds and borders. You could certainly use it in naturalized areas, and you could also use it very effectively as a cut flower, whether it's fresh or dried. Now, I mentioned in kind of waxing lyrically about all of the good things about this variety, and there are many. But I should mention also that when you have it growing in the ground, it also tends to reseed. And I find that the little seedlings are not easily removed out of the ground. So what I do is I pick up on the cut flower side of things, and whenever it's getting near the middle and end of the autumn and these lockets begin to open up and look like they're about to release their seed, I go in and I cut off the stems, I tie them in bunches, and then I dry them and use them then for dried arrangements. That's a way to get the double benefit of having all of these beautiful flower heads in the earlier part of the year, and then save them to use in dry flower arrangements, and at the same time help prevent the seedlings coming up in the garden. So lots of really good things to say about it. There's only one thing about that I mentioned, the reseeding, that needs to be paid attention of, but outside of that, this is a tough, hardy, and very easy to grow native grass. This is Chasmanthium latifolium, the North American wild oats.